We're alive.
Got a mic check going.
Or the light's red. Maybe that's the better cue. The light is red.
You know, I do have an Echo Glow now. I'm trying to figure out what I can use it for. And the joke going around in the office here is that I need to have a red light outside my door that says I'm in session, so
Yep.
they know not to knock on my door and bother me. So
I've rigged that up at my office as well. So I got a little red LED that flashes. So anybody opens the door, like, ooh, sneak back out.
yeah. So anyways, welcome to weekly update for the VEP members. We're on number 11 this week.
Wow.
So I just published number 10 just a few days ago, where I threw Skip under the bus and gave him about 30 minutes notice to deal with the webinar. So he did a good job as far as I could tell. I gave him the disaster recovery report, which I have not worked on at all this week, so there's no updates on that. But we seem to be moving in a very positive direction. I've kind of felt around some other coaching clients and some of the community members to see how they liked it, and it seems to be a very positive feedback. I'm just basically dabbling in the waters there. But what kind of came out last week was, you know, Danish and I had a really great conversation over a couple of days, and the biggest impacts to the community are two things that I'll be building up over the next 6 weeks. And I'd love to have everybody's feedback. I'd love to have people telling me what they think about these two things. And that is, one is a brand new community/forum to have everybody participate in. And I will work my hardest to make sure that the first 50 people to start communicating in there get special badges that show like they're a founder or a beta or an alpha user of the forum, because I really think that this forum is going to take off and do really cool things. And then the second thing we need to talk about is this new idea of SMART goals. So Skip and I have a lot of different directions we can take individual companies that are in the VEP community. But what we would like to do is set up courses in the software, in the tool, that allow people to track and have very distinct, if you do this, this, and this, and this, you will get this. And it may take, you know, some goals may be a 90-day process because you have to do a lot of work. Other ones might be turnkey, where like tomorrow I can deliver a better QBR using a template and a quick video series. But what we would like to do is show you kind of what this would look like, where we're going with it, and then get your feedback over the next couple of weeks, because I would like to make a firm launch date of the first week of January for both of these items. But if we can get people to start talking in the community, asking questions, if you have feedback for the tool or for the VEP community or content you would like to see, put it in the forum, and I promise to respond in a very timely fashion versus email. So we would like to make the forum the preferred method of communication, unless it's something sensitive and private and you just need to email me or Skip. So try to use the community however you can, so that when we launch it to the broader audience in January, that it already has some great conversations going. I used to use the Slack channel for a number of VCIOs internally, and we've had some great discussions in there. And I just want to make sure that we do the same thing for the community, where people can get caught up on these great discussions around, what about disaster recovery? What about these 4 pillars idea? How are you selling things in Australia? How are you selling things in the UK? How are you selling things in Canada? These are conversations that we are having actively, and I would like to move them into the forum so that we can record this for the edification of everybody. So with that being said, let me move over to my desktop here, where I've been kind of like poking around and trying to make things look better. So the first thing, and this, I don't know if you've been in here yet, Skip, but this is the forum without any branding, without any shininess to it. This is essentially the VEP forum. But if we go back up one level, you can see that actually, you know, where Danish works, it actually looks nice. You know, we got a nice visual there. We've got is that the Three Sisters Danish? I'm not certain. You know, I'm starting to figure out the mountains around his area.
Yeah, I think it looks like it.
And so we have different areas that the forum is going to cover. And then we have the VCIO Excellence program in here, where only members of the VEP get access to this. It is just us. And so what I have here is like, Danish and I are talking about a few things in here, and I'd love to see more people communicating in here. And some of you have immediately won my heart over by recognizing that this is Mega Man. Mega Man has been my avatar since like the early 2000s. I will not let him go. If you've ever been in a forum where you saw a digital blacksmith and you saw a Mega Man, that was me. And so it's a very prevalent combination. If you've been in tech forums long enough, you're like, oh, I've seen that.
No, hold on. Do we need to put a disclaimer with that? Is there anything you need to?
I do not guarantee any answers I have given in the last 20 years that are written down. But you will see that if you Google digital blacksmith and you see the Mega Man icon, that is me. And I was very prevalent in several technology communities since the early 2000s, including Slashdot, Spiceworks, and a number of places. So I was one of the top contributors, top answer finders for several forums. There is a long history behind digital blacksmith and Mega Man here. People have written comments and articles just explaining me and my presence. So back in my tech days, you can see a long history of that. There's communities where I've done development and helped with scripts and stuff, and you'll see digital blacksmith and the Mega Man. So I won't let him go. He is my avatar for all intents and purposes. I will die and he'll be on my tombstone most likely. So digital blacksmith is now in the managed service platform forum. His presence has been missed in the community. Actually, probably no one's really noticed, but there's always somebody to backfill you. But he is back and he is ready to answer questions. I am very prolific in my responses and my uses of forums. I really miss being part of a forum community where I can answer questions from how do you sell something better to, heck, if you want to ask me firewall questions, I've still got a fair amount of knowledge there.
I think these communities are really great, Adam. I'm glad we're getting this up. We've, worked to create this for quite a while. And, I saw some of the early versions that we had of this. I'm excited to see it go, to our clients. And we would, again, just encourage everyone to jump out here and participate in these. I had an example just a few weeks ago, working very specifically in our technology stack assessment, going through that template and, customizing that for a lot of clients. We get a lot of really quick traction. The template works, and fits pretty well on most MSPs. And that's our goal from that. Obviously, we're not going to design anything that's, specifically and perfectly designed for your MSP, because everybody's got their unique twist and market that they're in. But in discussing that in detail with one of our other coaching clients, we realized that, it's missing some cloud components. And that was a little bit by design, but so now we're collaborating with one of these partners, and we're rolling out some updates in that with expanded cloud services. And we would love to make this better. You guys, you're the experts in your market. You're the experts in your business. And so, bringing that expertise to the marketplace, really, it helps all of us. We can be great sounding boards. We can provide additional ideas. And I really think we can get things up and going to be successful for your organization in a much faster manner with this collaboration in the community. So again, my 2 cents on that, encourage everyone to jump in there. I historically have not commented much in the forums, because every time I start to type, it's kind of like my conversations, I'm like, well, I've got to say this first before I can say this. And before, I look up, I've written half a novel, and no one's going to take time to read that. So I will commit to get in there and comment as well, and offer my thoughts, and try to be brief and quit trying to write novels for every post, so you can consume it a little faster as well.
Yeah, and I try to keep my posts fairly short, and I've seeded a couple things in here where I really need feedback from people. So while the community is small, while we're under 100 companies, get in here and use this advantage, because as we grow, to hundreds of communities and hundreds of companies, it's gonna be harder to get our attention. So use this time, especially when communities are small, to get that personalized attention that you wouldn't otherwise. And so, like, what courses would you like to see in the VEP? Right now, like, our list is short. We have a ton of things we could do, but we have talked about like that the 100,000 MRR. What if there was a step-by-step thing in the in the tool where I could create a SMART goal here, and you could follow through and see your completion on it? What is your next step, so you never get lost? It takes us a lot of time to build up a course that is step-by-step with videos and content and where you need to go and Q&As. So what would you like to learn about? Would you like to learn how to do a better DR delivery process? Would you like to know how to deliver a better QBR to generate project revenue? Do you want a QBR maybe that is focused on creating client retention? So we need a SMART goal. So if you can tell us specifically, I want to know how to blah, something that is specific, measurable, that we can create a SMART goal around, we will create a course. And since the community is small, your stuff is going to get more attention. Just like Josh's did with the DR. He'd been bugging me for about that. And then the community said finally, hey, I really would love to have a DR. And I said, yeah, I'm going to create that. And so we kicked it off. And there will be a SMART goal around that you can pick and have assigned to you, so you know how to generate more revenue, so that you don't need to be handheld all the way through, but you have a course that you can follow. And so I'm looking at launching these, at least 2 SMART goals to drive more revenue that are specifically course driven by January. One from Skip in the operational series and one from me in the strategic series. If we don't hear from anyone, what we're going to do is we're going to build the 2 that are on the membership site. So right now we have these very well developed out plans around the strategic track and operation track. We're going to build these as courses that you can have applied to your account, and you can follow through step by step. And when you say, I'm not getting any traction, you'll see that you stopped here. And that's the important part of this. And we want to have 10, 15 of these so you can pick which one's going to be most valuable to your company and move forward with it. Skip, thoughts on that?
You bet. Yeah. It's kind of, I don't know if silly or not, but the idea of these SMART goals, is basic, I guess. And the fact that, we probably all, if we sit down and think about it, we know what the acronym stands for, and we can see that, but there is a tremendous value of just sitting down and going through some of these goals. I did this with one of our clients just last week. They're kicking off their VCIO top services. They're getting ready. January is going to be the big launch for this, and so they're prepping their team. And so me and the leader on the VCIO service, we went down and we picked their next step, their next big step that they need to take. And we identified all the elements in this. And, it wasn't necessarily a complex process or labor intensive. We didn't have to put a bunch of stuff together. It was a fairly quick session where we sat down here and we decided specifically, what are we trying to do here? Can we measure it? Is this achievable? The realistic and timely discussions worked really, really well. And from that, we have a very actionable game plan that we can run with. And from this, you can immediately begin seeing benefits in your business. We're increasing revenue. We're engaging with clients like never before. I mean, some of these conversations that our clients are having now, with their customers is just, it's really is transformational. People are seeing these managed service providers as not just the IT Mr. Fix-Its, but a real technology partner. And I think this is the other element that we might not always appreciate while we're doing these type of activities. We're looking at our business. Okay. We get a bit focused maybe, on, hey, I need to deliver new services. I need to increase my profit revenue. But here's one of the things that I truly believe about your customers. They need technology leadership. They want it. Sometimes they don't know how to ask for it, or sometimes they don't even really understand the need in their business. But today's marketplace is so technology heavy, so technology driven that there literally isn't a business on the planet that isn't impacted by technology in some shape, form, or fashion. And to be successful, your clients need technology leadership. And so this is a great way for you to step up and fill that goal and be the hero in some aspects. But more importantly, your clients are the hero because their businesses are more successful. You know, they're doing what they set out to do, and that's, you know, very gratifying for them.
Yeah, and so, I mean, to that end, like as Skip said, like every business in the world uses technology, even if it's just a pulley. You know, there's technology used in a company, and where do you start? Like, how do you get through things? And so that's where SMART goals come into play. That's where these roadmaps, these courses come into play. Is like with you guys, you want to do a successful VCIO program, but where do you start? How did Adam get started? How did Skip get started? It wasn't a matter of just like, I did one thing. I spent, 17 years or, are going on 20 years now, learning how to do this stuff, learning different aspects of strategic management and IT delivery. And there's hundreds of things I have picked up. You throw me at a big client, I can wing it and look amazing, not because I'm smart, but just because I'm experienced. And I've been through a lot, and I know how to have specific conversations and drive to a specific result based upon the hundreds of options that are in front of me. What we want to teach you guys is the same thing. How do you take a specific thing, a specific measurable item, and get to that goal? I need to develop more revenue in my business. You may feel like it's impossible to get $100,000 or $200,000 more of revenue, but I'm sitting here as a guy who started with his shoelaces, no clients, and I started and got 35 clients and over $300,000 of revenue in my first year with no client portfolio. The money is out there. Clients want to spend the cash. They just need a reason to. And so with a specific and measurable goal, you can do that. When I started off my VCIO business, I said, I want to change how IT is done. I want to do that through VCIO services and helping clients get back control of their technology. And so I started having conversations with the clients. And then I started working to an end of how do I get people to understand what their technology is doing for them. I started having conversations with nonprofits. And when I had those conversations with nonprofits, I started steering them in directions like, how is this going to work for you? And they started saying, oh my gosh, here are 3 things that are coming out of this. We would love your help on this. I said, sweet, here's what's going to cost for me to support you on these. And they paid for that. And they said, hey, we got like 10 other companies that are in the same line that would like to do the same thing. Can you help them too? Sure can. And we just kept going. And so, because I had a specific mission in mind for my projects, I used the tool at Managed Services Platform to do that. I used my knowledge to do that, but I didn't focus on security. I didn't focus on disaster recovery. I didn't focus on anything else. I just focused on how do I adopt and identify a client's portfolio of technology and what's working for them. That became the core of what I do. That is one SMART goal that I use. And I, as somebody without a technology portfolio, generated over $300,000 doing that. That is the power of this. So getting you focused on a SMART goal, getting you focused in a direction is going to generate more revenue. There's a reason why SMART goals are so stereotypical, because they work.
Absolutely.
Same thing behind a SWOT. There's a reason why everybody knows what a SWOT is, because it works. And so I'm not talking one trick pony here. I'm talking you have a million ideas. You have a million things that you want to get done. Stick with one and run with it. And so what I want to know from everybody is, what are those things? Where do I want you to communicate this to me? Through the forum here, so other people can say, yeah, I would like to see that too. Yeah, that's a great idea. If you don't have access to this forum, just send an email to coaching@virtualc.biz and we'll get you signed up. We'll make sure we walk you through how to get in here. Sign up for like a 15-minute session with me via phone call or something. I'll make sure that you get in here. So that is that is my passionate speech for today. The plea I have for everyone is get this going. And if you have any questions, just post them in the chat. I'm not in the chat at all. Skip is looking at it. I think I saw some people maybe post. What are your questions? What would you like me to drive here? Do you want pretty widgets? Do you want some unicorns in here? We can throw that in, but reach out.
Absolutely. Yeah. So no questions from the chat here today. I did, everyone, I did send out to make sure you got that coaching@virtualc.biz. Please hit us up so we can get you plugged into this forum. And I'm just gonna, let anybody out there. This is a controlled, and that, I think that's the benefit. This is, this is a members only platform. So we're able to share these resources and, be specific about the information that we have going on out there. We're very excited about what we can offer you guys for that.
Yeah, and for you guys listening in the car, just make sure you reach out. This is a very, very good opportunity for you to have input on the direction of a brand new product that is doing some amazing things. So
let me put in one more plug here for one of the other solutions that we have out there, Adam. So we have our last masterclass series for this year centered around the VCIO team leader. Now, currently this is in a 5-session, 90-minute format. We've worked to tweak this back and forth. We've already had one session. It was very much an intro-based sort of session. So if you've missed that, it's not too late still to get started. We'll be kicking off next Tuesday morning with our foundations section. So if you guys haven't had an opportunity to take this master class, we're really going to break down what the VCIO services look like, and then talk about some quick tips and tricks to get this up and running within your organization. So I'd encourage everyone, we've got some openings and some space in this last session for this year. Also check out the membership portal. We have published sessions for next year as well. We've already got those on the calendar. We're changing things up just a little bit, again, to be more reactive to what you guys are looking for. We're going to split this up, shorten the time a little bit, but increase our sessions next year. So if you can't get it in this year, check the calendar for next year and get registered for that. I'll send out a link in our chat here to that Zoom session for the last one this year. Again, that kicks off, our next one starts next Tuesday morning. So follow up on that Zoom session to get registered for that.
all right, and Danish, he held on for 28 minutes, but has some great questions for us to answer, Skip.
All right, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, thank you very much to let me in. So guys, I had a couple of VCIO related questions. I would like to ask you impromptu, because we keep getting those from chat and different live trainings and everything. And I wanted to convey that we are answering that through the VEP platform because we are responsible for the software, things like that. So one big question is what we had yesterday, the naming of the term VCIO. So somebody who had this kind of issue that he was pitching that to the client, and what they get back is that, like, everybody, it's includes to the price. Why you wanna, why you are asking additional money for that? What would be the right answer for this type of issues, questions, problems? It's kind of similar what you see with cybersecurity services as well. Others give it to us. Why you are asking additional fee for more serious cybersecurity offering? What your thoughts about that?
I can jump in and take part of that. Adam, I'll let you follow up on it. But first of all, I will, as many of you have heard me say, I think VCIO is a horrible name that we're stuck with. So, I continue to use it, but it does have a lot of challenges. And for one, it's difficult to really define that. A lot of people have various takes on what it means. So it's very unspecific in its nature. There's another challenge that we hear about many times with clients, and the idea of virtual CIO with some of your larger clients, anybody that has an IT director or someone even with aspirations of IT director or VC or CIO within your client companies. Once they hear us saying virtual CIO, they think that role is going to get outsourced and they're going to lose their job. They're going to lose an opportunity to grow into something. So it really becomes a challenge when we use that term VCIO with our clients. So I'd encourage everyone to, identify a marketing or branding name that doesn't include VCIO. We'll probably always have to do that within the MSP community because it's become a standardized term to some extent. And so I say all that around just the name, because once you begin rebranding it is also when you begin adding the value. When you begin to say, I'm going to be more, we have some products or some services and features we can offer you guys where we can be your technical business consultants, where we can help you align your business goals with your technology needs, where we can identify areas of your business that we can increase your gross profit or increase your revenue. And when we get into these strategic, consultative business conversations, then the clients begin to see the additional value. If we're just talking about doing more IT management, in their framework, they just see more firewall reports, more audits on hardware, more inventory scans. And that's absolutely not what we want to do. We've got to focus our VCIO services, again, that name, but we've got to focus on the strategic and business initiatives. And once you begin creating some marketing material, some deliverables around that, then clients get it. Then they begin to understand that this is why we're, have a net new revenue stream here, is because it's net new services that we're engaging with them on. Adam?
Yeah, and around the naming scheme and the pricing structure, those are two hot topics with most coaching clients. Is that one? I'll put it out there right now. Strategic advisor is an excellent title to use to differentiate yourself. So when I was working in the corporate world, I used to have a strategic advisor from a security company, and it was free. The guy would come in and just whiteboard. And it was amazing to have somebody else to hammer ideas off of and work with to think through project scopes. I ended up giving them close to $500,000 in business. So it worked out well for them. However, having that person that you can reach out to and is aligned with what you're doing is what you're selling them. So when it comes to a differentiating product, what we're seeing people do is we do include VCIO for for larger clients paying $20,000 more a month. But since you're not spending $20,000 a month, we charge separately as an option. And why do you want this? Because what we're seeing with clients that are using VCIO services is that they're competing on a larger game. So if you're productizing your VCIO services appropriately for smaller clients that want the VCIO, they need to know what you're going to do for them that differentiates your VCIO program from the chump VCIO program next door. Yeah. So you can call yourself a strategic advisor. You can refer to it as strategic services rather than just a person. And they're like, well, what strategic services? Well, we're going to come in and do business alignment sessions with you as well as doing break fix. And that you got to differentiate that conversation. And the big differentiator for me is walking in and doing a SWOT strategy session. If I come and do a SWOT strategy session, it blows their mind. This is way different than we're used to being treated. Yep. And now they understand why I'm charging $3,000 a month for my services, because they see that, they might have been calling themselves VCIO. Some people call themselves real estate agents, but all they're there to do is, churn houses. Yep. Real estate agents understand you and what you'll want. Real VCIOs, real strategists understand your company and align and give you solutions rather than selling you every product on the planet.
That's
Yep.
very good. And there is a New Zealand company we had who called Digital Consultant, and they moved into this digital transformation theme, and the digital consultants made like a little bit different spin on that. Okay, thank you very much for the answer. I have another one.
All right.
There is a saying out there we started inventing with you as well, Adam. We had a chat about that. There is something which is really, really intriguing now is the VCIO-led sales or strategy-led sales. And when we had this client meeting, last week, Adam, that's the big epiphany to me to kind of put together some type of process behind that. But can you explain us what that means, strategy-led sales or VCIO-led sales, and is it for existing clients or new clients?
Yes. Actually, I covered this actually in pretty good detail on Tuesday at the Strategy Masterclass series when I talked about SWOT, because I gave an example of where I walked into a company, one of the first companies I ever did that gave me permission to use them as a referral and as a reference for their story, was I walked into them and I started talking to them about what was going wrong with their company. I didn't sell them anything. I just walked in for free because I was building my portfolio. And I asked them, what's going on? How are things going? What can I do for you? What are you looking at? What are the biggest problems in your company? And I just let them rant for a long time about what was going wrong, all the printers that was broken, the internet that was constantly going down. I mean, just a dumpster fire. And so I said, well, let me investigate further. You know what? It's going to take me about, like 8 hours a month. So can I charge you like just professional services hours? And they said, sure. So I came in with a game plan to interview their key stakeholders, to go through their entire portfolio and to see what was going on. All I did was for like 3 days is listen. And I listened to the employees. I listened to the directors. And I came back out and I said, you know what your guys' problem is? You're underspending on your technology. Like, I don't need this cash. You need to be buying more from your MSP. You need to increase your service level to match the level of company you're at. And here are the things that you should do. And this will solve 90% of your problems. And I gave them 3 projects. The first project was you need to have a wireless survey done. You do that, and now your laptop's dropping off in the middle of meetings, or your kids' Chromebooks that are no longer attaching, that's going to go away. The second thing you do is you need to upgrade your internet. There's fiber to the curb available in Lincoln, Nebraska right now for very, very cheap, as well as you can get it subsidized because you're a school entity. The third thing you need to do is get a managed PC platform in here, because you've got people mapping printers to other PCs and all the way around, and it's constantly causing problems. As far as I can tell, you guys are wasting about 30 hours a week on downtime. And I had estimated that out, and I have a little spreadsheet for that. But anyways, at the end of the day, they said, yes, yes, yes. What do we need to do to get this done? I said, you just need to spend about $7,000 more a month. They just sat back and go, oh my gosh, we can't do that. And I said, well, weren't you guys just going to hire an internal technical employee to do all this stuff for you? And they're like, well, yeah. How much is that person going to cost you? And I said, well, they're going to cost around $8,000 a month plus benefits. I said, that's great. You won't need them after this. And now I didn't sell them anything. I just told them I took the problems they had, I gave them solutions. And now as a strategist, I have increased sales for an MSP I don't even own and have no part in by $7,000 a month. That was just me being a strategist, and I sold the crap out of things. I did. Yeah. I am a terrible salesperson. Yeah, I'm a great strategist.
Yeah, but like basically you didn't sell anything. You made an easy decision, an easy business decision for the owner to invest on technology, which we can call sales, but you just facilitated their thinking process. And I really love this idea, because I just don't like this kind of sales. Like, I want you to buy something and it's a kind of pushy thing. No,
Yeah.
I show you the opportunities and I help you to make a decision. And that's basically which is leading and leading with trust. So
I think, Danish, what I heard last week, my favorite phrase, and it took me a little while to adjust my thinking to it, was top-down sales.
Top-down sales, yes.
Top-down sales. Stop saying you need better computers. Start saying this will improve your company.
Okay, that's segueing, Adam and Skip, to my third question. Today I just put together based on what we had, and one more after is the client. We had a conversation about the quarterly business review, and the issue he had was he already started and has been doing a quarterly business review with the wrong audience. So he had some type of process from the past that was initiated with the office manager, and he's kind of stuck now really heavily onto this kind of, bottom left-hand side corner in the tactical technology discussion. And even the quarterly business review he can and he wants to do, and he performed with a couple of clients with this more strategic approach. He just can't dare existing executives to those meetings. So the question was how to rebrand myself as an MSP from being these great technical people to this VCI or somebody, or the strategic one. Because the clients I have now already made the decision that I'm the guy in the server room.
Skip, do you want this one or do you want me to answer? I got a great answer.
I'm chomping at the bit on this one. So it all starts with setting the right expectations with your clients. So if they expect you to be Mr. Fix-It, the IT guy, and that's the capacity that you've operated in the past, and you're trying to do something more, you're going to have to change expectations. And yes, I'll be upfront with you. It's hard. Those first few meetings can be rough, and you may struggle to find the exact way that you want to rebrand yourself with the clients. But it all starts down to setting the right expectations and doing that with the right audience. If you want to have strategic conversations, then you need to engage, and those, again, I understand. I've personally been through your struggles here. Those first few attempts are really hard to get that CEO on the phone or get them to respond to one of your emails directly and not just forward it on to their office manager. I mean, we've seen that, right, over and over. So, but if you can get engaged with the right audience, and then the expectations right out of the box, you've got to be maybe even a little overt, over the top a little bit in your business focus. Leave out the technology stuff. We've got great tools. They're critical to our ongoing operations. But the last thing you need to show up with when you're trying to engage in a strategic meeting is a technical report. I mean, don't even bring them for reference, okay? Set the expectations, focus the meeting on business initiatives.
The other thing I'm gonna interject really quick is ask better questions. When I ask a question in a meeting, it's going to drive like, oh, I don't know the answer to that. I need to talk to Bob. Like, who's Bob? Well, he's the CEO or owner. He's been with us forever.
Okay.
I ask questions that I need the owner to answer. Just tell me what your objectives are for 2020. And the person in the room is going to I don't know. I'll have to ask Bob. Ask better questions.
That's really good, Adam.
That's really good. So basically, you can like Adam, can you help us to have those type of business questions? I am a tech guy, and I'm confident to ask to an office manager to trigger this meeting. Because I think if you're able to provide me that type of confidence, I'm going to ask but many times I don't want to ask some type of question from an office manager to make, and it's obvious she's not qualified for that, because that's gonna.
For 3 payments of $99.99, I will give you the 10 weird tricks to I told you I'm a terrible salesperson. No, I'll give you one question right now. And I said it earlier. What are the corporate goals for 2020? So we can align your technology with them.
Yep.
And if you're talking to a mid-level manager, unless they're a really well-managed company, and that's rare, they're going to be like, I'll have to get back to you on that. And it's like, hey, well, if we can have a conversation with somebody that would know next session, that'd be awesome. Like, you know, let me see if I can get Bob in the next session so we can talk through that. And like, look, if I can get an alignment with your corporate goals for 2020, then I can make sure that we don't disrupt your operations with any of the build outs we're doing. And be like, that one question that will get your CEO or a leader in the room on the next meeting.
And Adam, can I, because I think the question is great to lead to the conversation that, oh, I'm missing somebody. But what I can tell to the office manager, like, by the way, we have a workshop, a strategy workshop, which we do with executives, which we learn, blah, 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 blah. And actually you have your strategy workshop you can show to the office manager and ask him probably like, hey, why you are not asking Bob and you next week? And we would go through and just, you really need like 45 minutes from him, and actually you and me can have better decisions, right?
That should be your annual strategy session, should be branded as an executive session. Look, if there's one thing I need from you guys this year, is I need to be aligned with what you're doing. So once a year, I at least want to talk to your CEO. And when your CEO sees how interesting I am, he's going to be in every meeting.
No,
if you say like, all I want is 20 minutes minimum from your CEO to run a strategy session to understand what your portfolio is and how I can help you better.
Now, here's another thing too. So, and again, until you develop this cadence with your clients, this step may be a little hard, but you've got to stick to it. You're going to have to define your agenda items for your meetings. So if you're having a quarterly, or more specifically, an annual executive engagement with your clients, if that's what you set out to do, and someone starts trying to talk about why a ticket's been open for 4 days, all right, that's not on the agenda. That's out of scope for the conversation. And you need to be able to tell your customers, hold on, time out there. We've got another meeting scheduled for that. We have maybe it's a monthly ticket discussion or a weekly follow-up, but whatever your cadence is, you know, you need to be able to divert that to another meeting where they can get the answers they need on that. And again, it's kind of hard the first time or two, but once your clients see, hey, we've got some things to talk about here. This meeting is strategically focused. I don't need to be asking about why someone can't print duplex on that back printer, right? That's not part of this meeting. That's not strategic. So, and that will begin to roll into all your other engagements. So don't just show up as a one-hit wonder. Don't just show up and say, hey, I'm going to do QBRs and that's all right? You need a complete set of activities to engage with your clients, because dealing with those tickets is important. Don't get me wrong, that those things need to be taken care of. We should make sure they're taken care of in the right environment with the right audience.
Yes.
So what you are saying is that you purposefully not doing strategy meetings with office managers to make sure that you have a platform to talk about and talk to the executives. So even they want them to do it, like you just kind of refuse or like make sure.
It's kind of funny. They'll show really up to them sometimes. I mean, you'll get the executive, and because the office manager has always been the primary point of contact, and so they'll show up. But in the entire meeting, you're talking just to the CEO. The CEO is talking just to you, and the office manager is sitting over there kind of looking around, and eventually they go, why do I keep showing up for these meetings? I'm not doing anything. And it's a little bit of experience with you and your clients as you build this relationship. And if not really soon, but before too long, the people that aren't needed in those meetings that might have always been invited anyway will begin to slowly, invite them.
Also, CEOs are, with your medium and your smaller companies, the CEOs are usually your point of contact and the people you talk to all the time. But when you get to those like 50, 100, you know, they start edging in out of the small business and into the medium business, it gets harder. Their time is more precious. Think about how precious your time is. You really need to think in terms of how do I make this valuable for them? You know, it's important to you, but is it important to your client to have this meeting? You say, you know what, all I need is 1 hour of yours a year during the strategic session annually, and then we will facilitate the QBRs with the mid-level managers throughout the year. But I need an hour with somebody on the executive team to help me define and align with the company's roadmap. And that's how you get them. It's like, oh, well, I can do an hour a year. That's fine. So
That's really good.
that's my answer on how to upgrade those meetings. So with an existing client, ask harder questions that they can't answer, and then they will start dragging in the leadership team.
Good. That's good.
That's really good. I have one more question if you still have time.
All right, we'll make it quick. We got the operations masterclass here in about 9 minutes. So.
Oh, that's great, because that's regarding to the operations. So we had a big debate on Tuesday when we had this live meeting, webinar about reporting, and the big debate was about how to do project management when we have the roadmap and what to do with the projects after that. And that was a debate of one piece of the pie was we need to scope and acknowledge all these projects and create quotations, which is taking a long time. The second party was arguing that like 90% of your infrastructure related projects should be already templated, and 10% should be somewhat really specialized or custom, which is basically giving you the ability to actually not having project management at all, because those 90% of your infrastructure based upgrades, Windows 7, firewall, SAN, these should be templated in a way which you can just adjust those things. So the second party was like a larger organization, and they had the maturity to have a pre-planned projects, but he was really arguing against building up big project management capacities rather than invest productizing those projects. I'm not sure what's the
maturity of your, like the more you do a project, the more you can create a procedure, you can proceduralize it. And so when you have a larger company that's done a Windows 10 deployment 100 times, you can pretty much let it run on autopilot. When you're a smaller MSP and you do project management, you got to be a little bit higher touch. If this is the first time you've ever run a project of this nature, so the first time you do a Windows 10 deployment through SCCM, you're probably going to want to baby step that thing. And you're going to want to have weekly meetings to make sure everything's going okay. But if you've done this project 10 times, maybe scale back the touch points and then let the procedures take place. But while you're building a new project, you should be thinking, what are my steps? You shouldn't immediately try to follow steps that have never been done before. You should handhold. The more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. It's like riding a bicycle. The first time you rode a bicycle, somebody was there holding your shoulders and pushing you down the hill onto the broken glass. It was do or die. Then eventually you stopped scraping up so much and you were able to ride on your own. But it took you, 10, 20 times going down that gravelly hill and falling before you started saying, okay, don't do this, do this. And now it's streamlined and you do it automatically. But the problem is companies try to do project management. They try to automate things the first round, and that's wrong.
Now that's the thing. The company I'm talking about, I'm not going to name them, but they are a 25 people shop, and they have the capacity and they have the maturity to have projects in line, but they were so occupied on solving project management problem, whether it's like in Trello or where, onto the details, because they had so much complexity to deal with. But the second party said, like, let's cut the complexity, and that's not going to force you to manage the complexity. So not managing the complexity with better project management is the answer, but cut the complexity with simplifying this whole thing up front. So that is a kind of epiphany for me, because like, oh, that makes sense. So
it's like it's the IRS problem, and this will be my last statement before I let Skip go so he can get his masterclass ready. It's the IRS statement. At some point, if any of you have a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, you understand this thing called Big O notation. And Big O notation is a mathematical term for overhead and whether or not it's worth it to take on a process.
Yeah.
So like a bubble sort is really inefficient, but you can use it right now. I can go down and I can sort something on my desk. Or should I put this thing into a sorting mechanism that's going to be very, very efficient at large scales? That's a Gantt chart. It takes you 6 hours to build the Gantt chart. It takes you another 3 hours to explain the Gantt chart. Should you do that for a simple desktop deployment? No. So you got to decide when the complexity is going to override the project scope. And that's why Adam is a terrible project manager, because a good project manager, somebody with a PMP, is going to come in and say, no, we don't need to be complex with that. Immediately they're going to squash it. So you have to decide when you're going to scale something, if it's worth the overhead of the administration, or whether or not it's worth it to just, you know, I trust my engineer, let him do the job.
Awesome, guys. That's great. I'm going to, if you allow me, I'm going to pass you more specific questions along
Sure.
the week, because that's
We'll be happy to see him next week.
Hey guys, let me close out with this before we drop. So our operations track is kicking off, and our topic for today is how to handle the QBRs, the ups and downs, what comes out of them, discussions. We talked about last week about preparing the QBR. So today we're talking about what that engagement actually looks like and how we navigate through that. Projects are a big part of that. Yes. So if you want more of this particular question, I would say tune in here in just a few minutes or check the video on our operations class as we talk about, you know, what we deal with in our QBRs, and hint, projects are a big part of QBRs.
All right. We'll see you later, guys. As always,
you, guys.
email coaching@virtualc.biz with any questions.
See you.
Thanks.
Guys.